I have possibly the most neglectful parents on the face of the earth. Well, they showed up unexpectedly at my house to say something that was so ridiculous you wouldn't believe it. But here's the funny thing. It was my house. I haven't lived there in 2 years, and yet they thought I did. So when they knocked at the door, they were awfully surprised. So when they finally got my number and got in contact with me, they had the audacity to gaslight me about why I didn't tell them I was moving, as if I hadn't cut them off years ago. Here we go again. For as long as I can remember, I've been a forgotten child in my family. My parents, Thomas and Evelyn, have always made it abundantly clear that my younger brother Jake was their priority. I was more the independent one, the one who could take care of herself, while Jake was the golden boy, showered with praise, attention, and resources. Growing up, the favoritism was glaringly obvious. My parents poured their energy, time, and money into Jake, while I was left to fend for myself. When Jake was a kid, they enrolled him in every activity he wanted: piano, soccer, even private tutors for school. For me, they barely noticed what I wanted. When I expressed interest in joining an art class in middle school, they told me it was too expensive and straight up unnecessary. Meanwhile, they spent hundreds on Jake's sports gear and weekend tournaments. I'd say the neglect was not just financial, little all emotionally as well. I mean, straight up emotional. They were always there for Jake when he struggled with schoolwork. They would spend hours helping him. But when I asked for help, I was told to just figure it out because I was smart enough. Once in high school, I got first place in a regional science fair. I was so excited to tell them, but they barely acknowledged it before moving on to talk about Jake's soccer game, which he didn't even win. As I started to get older, things did not really improve. If anything, the divide started to grow even bigger. Well, when I graduated college with honors, I might add, my parents could not even be bothered to attend the ceremony. Can you believe that? My mother said, "Well, I'll see you at the celebration dinner afterward, sweetie." What? Like it was some casual milestone. But when Jake graduated, they threw him this massive party, inviting extended family and friends to celebrate his hard work. It didn't matter that I had accomplished more academically or professionally. No, to them, Jake was always the center of the universe. The emotional toll of their favoritism was immense. I often felt like I was not enough, like no matter what I did, I would never measure up to Jake. Even when I started my career and landed a job at a prestigious company, my parents dismissed it. My dad joked that my job was cute and asked when I planned to settle down and focus on having a family. Well, meanwhile, Jake bounced from job to job, and they praised him endlessly. 2 years ago, after years of enduring their neglect and emotional manipulation, I decided to prioritize myself. I moved across the country to a city where I could build a life free from the judgment and favoritism. I didn't tell them about the move. Why would I? They barely kept in touch as it was, and the few times they called, it was either to talk about Jake or complain about something trivial. I found a great job, I actually made some new friends, and finally started to, just feel as if I was living on my own. Well, my own life, for the first time. I wasn't weighed down by their constant dismissal of my worth. My best friend, Laura, was the only one who knew about my move. She had seen firsthand how my parents treated me and supported my decision to create a bit of distance. Well, then out of nowhere, my parents called me a few days ago to announce their surprise. They told me they were coming to visit me and gave me just a few days' notice. They didn't ask if it was okay or if I had room for them. They just assumed I'd drop everything to accommodate them. I didn't tell them about my move. I kept my response vague and let them believe I was still living in the tiny apartment I rented years ago. I wasn't sure what to do next, but one thing was clear. I wasn't going to let them walk all over me anymore. The entitlement was staggering. They didn't even ask if it was okay. They just assumed I would drop everything to accommodate to them, as if the years of neglect and favoritism had not happened. I was furious, but I kept my response vague, unsure of how to handle the situation. I didn't want to outright lie, but I also wasn't ready to tell them the truth. For now, I'm just going to ride it out and try to figure out the best way to handle this without completely blowing up everything. I feel stuck in the middle, not wanting to lie, but also not ready to tell them the full truth. This is a mess, and I honestly don't know what I'm going to do next. I'll update you when I can, but for now, I'm just trying to keep my cool and not let them push me into a corner. I just need it to vent. I feel like I'm on the edge of a breakdown, and I can't even figure out how to fix this wet wait 1 update number 1. So, I know it's been a few days since my last post, and honestly, things have only gotten more complicated. My parents are still coming in about a week, and I've been trying to figure out how to handle it, but I'm still not sure what to do. Well, I know I can't just ignore them when they show up at my old apartments, but I'm finding it hard to figure out exactly how to approach the situation without making things even messier. A part of me still cares for them, and despite everything that's happened, I crave their love and attention. It's honestly been weighing on me so much. I know that I've been distant for a while, and I've put up walls because I've always felt dismissed and neglected. It's hard to just let go of history, even though part of me knows they've hurt me for far too long. But there's still a small piece of me that wants to be accepted and wants them to finally see me for who I am and acknowledge all the hard work, that I've done to get to where I'm at today. Even after all these years, I can't help but want their approval. It's a real difficult thing to admit, but it's the truth. I've told my best friend Laura about everything that's been going on. She's been the only person I've been able to talk to about all this in real life. She's been so understanding and supportive, and I really don't know what to do, or what I'd really do without her. I can't tell you how much it helps just to have someone listen without judgment. She's given me a lot of advice, and honestly, it's helping me clear my head. But even with her support, I'm still not sure what the best way for it is. I still haven't figured out what to do. I'm trying to give myself some time to think things through before the arrival. But the more I think about it, the more conflicted I feel. Should I confront them when they get here? Should I tell them now so they have time to adjust their expectations? Or do I just go with the flow and see where things lead? For now, I'm just trying to focus on what feels best. I can't keep living in limbo, but I'm not ready to completely sever ties either. I'll update again once I've made a decision or when things progress, but I honestly feel like I'm stuck between wanting to protect myself and still holding on to some hope that things might actually get better. Update 2, update number 2. It's been a few days since my last post, and things have taken a surprising turn. Just as I started to figure out what to do, my parents showed up earlier than expected. I hadn't decided yet how to approach the situation, or whether I was going to tell them the truth before they arrived. But I guess it doesn't matter now. They showed up at my old place, not knowing that I'd moved across the country 2 years ago. They could not contact me, since I've been turning my phone on airplane mode and had not logged into any social media for a while. I've just needed a break, and honestly, well, the only phone I've been using is my work phone. So my parents ended up reaching out to Laura, since they still have her number. She was honest with them and told them that I've moved, but refused to tell them more about where I live. Well, that's when they inadvertently revealed to Laura something that really shocked me. Apparently, this wasn't just a short visit as I had assumed. They were planning on staying with me for months because their house is under renovation. They even made it sound like it was a done deal, with no mention of asking for my permission or considering any boundaries I might have. To make matters worse, they said Jake, my younger brother, refused to let them stay with him, which is why they were coming to me. I was their second option. Well, I'm furious. I can't believe that they thought it was okay to just show up like this, expecting me to drop everything and play host for months. What's even more frustrating is the complete lack of communication and respect for my boundaries. All this time, I've been turning off my phone and avoiding social media to avoid this very situation, and they just bulldoze through it. It feels like nothing has changed. and they still don't see me as an independent adult. I've worked so hard to create my own life, and now they expect me to just straight up uproot everything to accommodate them, without so much as a, "Hey, is this okay?" Right now, I'm feeling anger, disbelief, and I can't believe they thought this was acceptable. This isn't about me being a good daughter or about them needing help. It's about them overstepping once again and treating me like I don't have my own life, my own set of boundaries. I haven't even had the chance to tell them anything about my new life. I was planning to, but now it's all been forced upon me in the worst way possible. I'm still processing all of this and trying to figure out my next move. I haven't decided whether I'll confront them about everything or let them figure it out. Right now, I just need some time to think. But this has definitely made everything clear. My parents do not respect me. They've never really considered my feelings, and it's going to be a long road to figure out how to handle this. But I'll keep everybody updated once I know what I'm going to do. Whatbait 3 update number 3. Hey everybody. So, I'm here for an update. I'm sorry that it's been this long, but anyways. Well, my parents showed up at my old apartment. It's been about a week now, and things have officially exploded. When they found out I wasn't there, they bombarded me with phone calls and texts until I finally answered. What followed was the most intense, revealing conversation I've ever had with them. The moment I picked up, my dad's voice was dripping with anger. He immediately yelled, asking me why I didn't tell them I moved away. My mother chimed in, her tone with anger, outrage, and hurt, asking how I could ever do that to them when they were my parents. Guys, I took a deep breath and calmly explained that I had not told them because, frankly, I didn't think they'd care. I reminded them exactly how little they'd shown interest in my life over the years, and how I'd always been treated as an afterthought compared to Jakey. My father immediately went on the defensive, insisting that they had treated us both the same. Well, it made me laugh, though it was more out of disbelief than humor. I listed example after example of their blatant favoritism, how they celebrated every minor achievement of Jake while ignoring my milestone, how they were always emotionally available for him but dismissed my struggle, and how they never once made me feel like a priority. My mother started crying at some point, saying she did not realize I felt this way, but her tears did not feel genuine. They felt like a tactic to shift the blame back onto me, as if I was overreacting or misinterpreting their behavior. I told her outright that I was not interested in her crocodile tears. Well, here came the real thing. My dad, clearly frustrated, yelled something along the lines of, "They're my parents, and that I owed them everything that they've done for me." So that's when I snapped. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Owe them for what? Years of being ignored? Watching them pour all their love and resources into Jake while I was left to fend for myself? Treated as if I was just there? The thought made my blood boil. I didn't owe them a thing. I was done pretending like I did. That was the harsh reality they needed to face, whether they liked it or not. The silence on the other phone was deafening. I could tell my words had hit their mark, but instead of apologizing, my dad doubled down. He starts ranting about how they had sacrificed so much for me, how they'd given me everything, and how I was being selfish for not letting them stay with me. I told them that their sacrifices mean crap, or were enough to negate the emotional neglect and favoritism I endured. I said I wasn't responsible for fixing their poor planning or for making up for Jake's refusal to host them. At this point, my mother tries to guilt trip me by saying they were homeless because of me. Oh, I reminded her they have plenty of money. They just didn't want to spend it, because they were used to Jake and me bending over backward to accommodate. Before ending the call, I made it clear to them they were not entitled to my life, simply because they were my parents. If they truly wanted a relationship with me, it would take far more than an empty apology. And guilt tripping to repair the damage they caused. Until they were ready to take real accountability, they would have to figure things out on their own without relying on me. I haven't heard from them since that call, but mutual friends have told me that they're scrambling to find a solution. Apparently, they've been trying to spin the story to make it seem like I abandoned them. But come on, guys. Their story, they're always the victim. I'm not sure what their next move will be, but for now, I'm at peace knowing I finally stood up for myself. It's been a long time coming. What wait for update number 4. So, it's been a few weeks since my last update, and I finally have a moment to sit down and process everything that's happened. The aftermath of my parents' surprise visit has been exhausting, but something unexpected happened that left me both validated and emotionally drained. After I refused to host my parents and told them that they needed to figure things out for themselves, they scrambled to find alternate accommodations. From what I heard, they ended up spending a significant portion of their retirement savings on an extended hotel stay, which only seemed to fuel their resentment towards me. The messages they sent reflected their frustration and anger, and they accused me of being selfish, ungrateful, and abandoning them when they needed me the most. My dad even sent a lengthy email claiming I was cold-hearted and dismissive of everything they've done for me. I ignored most of their attempts to guilt-trip me, but then I received an unexpected call from Jake. I assumed he was reaching out to defend our parents, as he always did, and my expectations were confirmed when he immediately criticized my decision to turn them away. He suggested that the situation could have been avoided if I had been more understanding. Well, he even implied that I had made things worse for everyone. Initially, I was tempted to hang up, but instead, I chose to respond calm. I explained how the years of neglect and favoritism had taken a toll on me, describing how my achievements have been dismissed, while Jake's smallest little accomplishments were celebrated. I spoke about the emotional distance I've always felt, and how their recent actions were just culminations of a lifetime of being treated as an afterthought. As I talked, I noticed Jake growing quieter. His irritation seemed to fade, replaced by an unfamiliar tone of reflection. When I finished, he admitted that he had not realized how deeply these experiences affected me. Jake then revealed something that completely caught me off guard. While he had always been the golden child, he admitted that our parents' behavior had started to suffocate him. They had been pressuring him for financial support for years, guilt-tripping him into covering their expenses, and even blaming him for not stepping in to pay for their hotel stay after I refused. He said it felt like they no longer saw him as their son, but as a financial safety net that they could tap into whenever it suited. Hearing this from Jake was surreal. For so long, I believed he was immune to the toxic dynamic I endured, but it turned out their entitlement had extended to him as well. Guys, by the end of the call, Jake expressed regret for not taking my feelings seriously in the past. He apologized for dismissing my experiences and admitted that this situation had forced him to reflect on his own relationship with our parents. While I appreciated his honesty, I was still processing everything. I'll try to update you guys again. Final updates. Update number 5. It's been 2 weeks since my conversation with Jake, and everything's changed in ways I never expected. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm not alone in dealing with the fallout of our parents' toxic behavior. After our initial call, Jake reached out to me again. He shared that, after the previous conversation, he reflected much further and took a hard look at his own relationship with our parents. And the more he thought about it, the more he realized how damaging their actions had been. He admitted that he had spent years defending them because it was easier than confronting them with the reality of how they treated us. Jake explained that our parents' entitlement had started to weigh on him heavy. They had been guilting him into covering their expenses for years, using the same manipulative tactics they once used on me. He said he had always brushed it off, telling himself it was just part of being the favorite, but now that he saw it for what it really was, it was emotional and financial abuse, if I'm being completely honest with you. That's what it was. Well, besides that, after reflecting on everything, Jake made a decision. He called our parents and told them he's done being their fallback plan. Yeah. He refused to continue supporting them financially and made it clear that he was cutting them off. Our parents did not take the news well. Jake told me that our mom had cried and accused him of being nothing more than a traitor, while our dad ranted about how ungrateful we both were. Jake, however, stood firm, and he said that he had no intention of letting them manipulate him any further, and he wasn't going to feel guilty for prioritizing his own well-being. For me, hearing this from Jake was awesome, sad, but also a relief. On one hand, I felt validated knowing he finally understood me. On the other hand, it was heartbreaking to realize how deeply our parents' behavior damaged both of us. Well, Jake and I are starting to rebuild our relationship, and well, independent of our parents. We've started texting regularly, and we're even planning to meet up soon to reconnect. It won't be easy. There's a lot of history to unpack, but I'm hoping we can finally move forward together.